Anthony Edwards. He's been compared to MJ many times throughout this season and in these playoffs.
They have all compared you to the next coming of Michael Jordan.
And I'm sorry, he reminds me of Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Watching Anthony Edwards gave me flashbacks of MJ. Man, at 22 years old, is on pace to become Michael Jordan.
He has shown a few similarities to MJ, but mainly several weaknesses he has that he needs to work on that are preventing him from winning his first title, let alone being anything like MJ. To illuminate what weaknesses Anthony Edwards needs to work on to get over the hump, let's look at what criteria the most recent NBA champions had to have in order to win. There's several criteria you need to win an NBA championship. 1. You need either 3+ great perimeter defenders or 2 great perimeter defenders and a great help defender. Usually a rim protector, but not always, as we've seen with Draymond Green. Some examples in the last 5 finals: the 2024 Celtics with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, and in the paint Al Horford. The 2023 Denver Nuggets, KCP, Aaron Gordon, and Bruce Brown, all 3 good perimeter defenders. The 2022 Golden State Warriors, Andrew Wiggins, who played amazing defense at finals, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. The 2021 Milwaukee Bucks, Drew Holiday, who I believe at that time was the best defender in the league, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. So they were spoiled, they had 2 great rim protectors. The 2020 Lakers, KCP, Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, again 2 great rim protectors. Second thing I think you need is either a spectacular coaching staff with high IQ players like the 2014 Spurs and the 2004 Pistons with Popovich and Larry Brown, or a spectacular ISO offensive creator, or 2 if you're spoiled teams, surrounded by 3-point shooters and or a great roller in the pick and roll. And lastly, I believe you need a great secondary team offense initiator for when you're ahead by 10 to 15 in a game in the third quarter or early fourth that can mostly maintain the lead while your ISO is resting. Good examples of these would be Rondo on the 2020 Lakers and Derek White on the 2024 Celtics. Now, by the time you get to the conference finals, your team 100% has all of these things, except 2 factors that always determine the NBA champion. 1, unfortunately, injuries, like Kawhi taken out by a Zaza but cheap shot in the 2017 Western Conference Finals. I guarantee the Spurs would have won that year. Or 2023 Kawhi versus Phoenix, or Jason Tatum this year, or KD in the 2019 Finals. And secondly, let's be honest, the spectacular coaching staff with the high IQ team basketball players has only really happened recently with the Spurs and the 2004 Pistons. So the second major determining factor is if your ISO superstar has any major weaknesses in his game or his mentality or both, which by the conference finals, it's all good coaches, so they will find it and they will exploit it in a 7-game series. Now again, I'm not here to hate, I'm here to give constructive criticism. There are several spectacular ISO players in recent memory who I've seen really struggle in either the finals or the conference finals with a weakness. Most worked on it and overcame it enough to win. A few have still struggled with it. Let's list some of these players. First, LeBron James. If any of you watched the 2011 finals, he struggled with the mentality of what to do in the fourth quarters. By 2012, he somewhat figured it out by just winning the first 3 quarters so much that he didn't have to worry about the fourth. But a second weakness teams had really exploited in 2011 and the 2012 conference finals was elite perimeter defenders were closing on LeBron's 3-pointer, but taking aggressive drop angles on his first step, essentially giving him wide open mid-range jumpers, and he was missing a lot of them. Yes, Ray Allen saved his Game 6 in the 2013 finals, but let's be fair to LeBron. In Game 7, at the end of that game, I watched it live, and Kawhi was doing exactly that in the fourth quarter. Hard closeouts on LeBron's 3, then aggressive drop angles on his first step to take away the drive. Or they were just going under screens. LeBron nailed 3 or 4 dagger mid-range jumpers that won them the title. Now in my mind, he has some issues with defensive effort now, but that's another video. But credit to him for working on his mid-range back then. Second one is Steph Curry. People forget this, but he was extremely inconsistent in his first 2 NBA finals. Matthew Dellavedova didn't quote-unquote lock him up, but Steph did have multiple bad games, with Iguodala even winning finals MVP over him. He had 2 weaknesses that were kind of tied in with each other, When he got blitzed and ran off the line, Dele's gift, one of them was sliding around Draymond's illegal screens, he was struggling as a passer and wasn't comfortable at that time driving into the paint. But credit to him, he improved slightly as a passer, still not as good as I think he could be with the attention his elite shooting draws, but he improved drastically as a finisher in the paint. He worked on that a lot, and a lot of the work was in the weight room. He's a lot stronger now, he has more mass, but I really think he always had the brilliant creativity with the body contortions and the great spins off the backboard. But the strength he picked up in the weight room really gave him the confidence to go in there, and it has essentially made him unguardable now. Next is Nikola Jokic. Early on, he didn't have the ability to take over games ISO if Jamal Murray was having one of his patented 12-point nights. And in defense of Jamal Murray, he has a lot of 40-point nights too, but credit to him, Jokic worked on his 3-point shot, and he worked with Aaron Gordon on their chemistry out of the Jokic double teams. And they really don't have as many issues late game now. He's honestly overcome it. Shooting 40% from 3 at his size and with his high release is absolutely nuts and completely unguardable. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he couldn't figure out how to break through teams' wall defense, where they would get set up early and prevent his rim runs. He didn't completely overcome it, but he worked on his Euro, worked on his mid-range and free throws, and with Chris Middleton helping him out in late shot click situations in 2021, he mostly has overcome it. If he were to ever develop at a 36 to 38% 3-point shot and a 45% mid-range, I think he'd win another MVP. But unfortunately for Milwaukee, I'll cover this in another video, but their decisions in the draft and with trades and their salary cap has really left their cupboard bare, and I fear he's going to struggle to ever return to the finals if he stays in Milwaukee. Future video on that one. The last one before we get to Ant-Man, Jason Tatum. And this is the most important one because he illuminates the same struggles as Ant-Man, which we will get into. Because everyone on the Celtics viewed Jason Tatum as their best player, they often turned over late clock and fourth quarter situations to him. And because he's 6'7", 6'8", he can get step back threes off so easily. He shot a lot of them. He has multiple weaknesses that have shown up in the conference finals and the finals. He was a very streaky 3-point shooter, and he puts in a lot of effort on defense, so in the playoffs his legs were dropping off at the end of games. He was a very subpar passer out of double teams, which really burned them against the Warriors. And lastly, he didn't utilize the mid-range and footwork in the post to get easier shots, and he ended up having to deal a lot with Draymond's help. In my opinion, the Celtics finally broke through because 1, some injuries in the East and West, and 2, Jaylen Brown finally decided that he is the best player in the Celtics and was more aggressive, essentially splitting late game duty with Tatum. Jaylen Brown's weakness was his handle, but he cleaned it up enough to have a very good finals. So as you can see, most of them have overcome it to some extent and won. Tatum I think hasn't totally figured it out, but I'm hopeful he will because he seems like a hard worker and a good guy, and I'm hoping for a fast recovery for him. And that's what this channel is all about, figuring out your weaknesses and overcoming it, whether it's mental or physical. But let's get into Ant-Man and the 3-point barraging. Now here's the first problem with NBA coaches and front offices. Clearly the analytics championed by Daryl Morey show that shooting layups, dunks, and threes are the most efficient model of scoring. There are 3 major problems with this. Most analytical data models are based on the whole season combined, meaning regular season and playoffs, when in reality, the playoffs are a completely different game than the regular season. Don't forget also free throws, which is never going to be the same call in the regular season and the playoffs. That's also why Shai Gilgeous has also struggled at times in this playoffs. Firstly, defenders are hustling hard to close out, whereas in the regular season, doing 2 or 3 rotations is exhausting, and the extra pass almost always leads to a wide open 3. Secondly, you're only playing high IQ and well-coached teams, especially by the conference finals, and they are playing up high on players that shoot threes at a high percentage and are hunting to take away your strengths as a shooter, as giving up a 3 is a killer. And lastly and more importantly, star ISO players like Ant are playing 42 plus minutes a night in close games, and they're playing hard defense, so they're often getting trapped in half the game as well. Your legs are mostly gone for a 25-foot 3-pointer in the second half. Of course, these are all world-class athletes, and they can get hot and fight through it. But as we've seen time and again with these playoffs, it's going to be inconsistent. Teams are essentially dice rolling and living or dying by the 3. The Celtics certainly lived by the 3 and died by the 3, going 15 for 60 in one of their games. The Thunder are the deepest defensive team we've ever seen. They're not the best defensive team we've ever seen, but they are certainly the deepest. They've got 6 or 7 guys that can play great defense. They clearly came in with a game plan to put Chet, to block the restricted area on Ant's drives, which of course, he's spectacular. He still finished quite a few of them. And they're also trying to force him to pass. He clearly got exhausted driving every possession and just started shooting threes in a lot of the games or passing out at double teams. In his mind, clearly him just passing out of the double teams means he did his job, judging by what he said in the press conferences.
Gaps, I made the right play all night, so I don't really look at it like I struggled. I didn't get enough shots to say I struggled, so that might be how you guys look at it, but yeah, I didn't struggle at all. It's just I made the right play.
But here's the problem. He doesn't utilize the mid-range like he did a bit last year. I'm guessing that's coming from the coaching staff. And he doesn't know how to utilize double teams to actually get people wide open shots. The same problem as Jason Tatum. That's the whole point of why these teams are giving you the mid-range and double teaming you. They know you won't shoot the mid-range because they've watched tape and because your coaching staff has told you it's inefficient. They know your passes out of double teams aren't leading to wide open shots. They're essentially leading to Alexander Walker or Julius Randle or Dante DiVincenzo shooting threes or ISOs instead of layups for somebody. So to me, if Ant shoots more mid-range and works on using his ridiculous first step to attack and split double teams, he will have no weaknesses at that point and can really open up the Wolves offense. And as I'm going to touch on in this next video, I believe he has a lot of great young talent waiting in the wings for more responsibility in Minnesota. And the last thing, which we always like to focus on this channel, is his mentality. Now, I loved his energy in the Lakers vs. Wolves series. I think he and the Wolves heard all the narratives about Lakers in 5 from OnlyFans model enthusiast Shannon Sharp.
It don't matter, divorce court, child support, Lou Dort. Lakers in 5. I don't care nothing about no light socket, a court docket, or my empty pockets. Lakers in 5. Jason Kidd, Billy the Kid, y'all saw what Luka did? Lakers
Hey, and
SGA, PGA, USA. Lakers in 5. The Thunder, a Boost Mobile bundle, WWE Royal Rumble. Lakers in 5. Serge Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka. Lakers in 5.
guys, I was pressed for time. What I meant to say, Lakers going home in 5.
They were fired up, and it was great to see his energy putting it right back on the Lakers. But again, it's these little things when you're a superstar, and a lot of the superstars in today's NBA front run. They talk a lot when they're up. Shout out Devin Booker, but when they're down, it's a different story. Steph Curry, I love him, but he's also a front runner, celebrating and doing all sorts of dances, shimmies, and go to sleep gestures when he's ahead. I get you're feeding off energy and clapping back, but if you want to be a champion and an all-time great, you got to have your focus on the right things. Is your focus on the Lakers in the first round, or advancing to the finals after you've already made the conference finals last year and ran out of gas? Now, I do love his positivity. That's his best trait. As I've touched on in previous videos, Jordan was always extremely positive, but there's nuance to positivity. And when Ant's talking positively, it often comes across as blame shifting in the press conferences. He of course is not directly pointing the finger at teammates or coaches, but if you quote unquote made the right play and lost, I mean, we've seen that sentiment before from another superstar, and we know the intimations. You have to have the mindset that if we lost the game, the team and I did not play good enough. Once you get to that level, there's no moral victories, and in 5-on-5, there's no separating yourself from the team. There can't be a mentality of assigning blame. There has to be a mentality of accountability, and then wiping the slate clean to improve the next game. If you can combine those three things, positivity, accountability, wiping the slate clean, then you have reached the Michael Jordan mentality and you're ready to win. This is how you improve. I beg you, Ant. You are a once-in-a-generation talent, and your positivity and energy is one of a kind. But please don't go down the road of some other superstars in every offseason thinking your teammates let you down and looking to change teams. Bring your teammates together this offseason, especially Julius Randle, who needs a big arm around him after what happened with the coaching staff this series. Watch film of how an elite Thunder defense caused you problems, and reanalyze how you can diversify your half-court ISOs to become unguardable. With an elite three-point shot and a great first step and explosive finishing, he already has the two hardest parts of being an elite offensive player to master. If you can get your mid-range going again and your pick and roll and have a strong mentality, you will be an NBA champion for sure. I have no doubt in my mind. If you're a fan of Ant like me and believe in his potential, I do have good news for you. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about the players in the NBA who I feel have the most potential and are destined for great things. I'm going to cover all things from role players to stars to superstars. And Minnesota has several young players who I feel are ready to take the next step that may surprise you. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I started this channel on a mission to help refocus today's sports society and the players I'm training on mental strength in sports. I didn't think it would take off like this. Y'all have been absolutely amazing. I hope you guys can see my love and passion for it all coming through. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. I'm super honored about that. I want to thank my girlfriend Mickey, who heard my mic in the first videos and generously upgraded me. So I hope you guys are enjoying the better sound. I love bantering with you guys in the comments. I also want to shout out Real Mind Crime and She Love Groovy. Those guys are super open-minded. They've supported me early on here, and they love sports and they have strong mentalities too. So thank you to my subscribers who sending my video to them, and thank you so much for the support. Y'all are super real ones, man. Some of you guys' comments inspired me big time. One guy I met from Chicago who grew up watching MJ. We had a great conversation. One guy who grew up watching the NBA in the Philippines, where I've been a couple times, he really inspired me. So thank you guys, much love. I'll try to keep improving as well. I have a lot of room for improvement, but I'm trying to get better each video. I think my next video is going to be my best work, guys. I've really been starting on it already, and I'm really excited about it. So I love seeing the potential in players, and I think I have a good eye for it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching again. Peace.